Hi, I'm Bobby Rochone and I am a park ranger for the Niobrara National Scenic River, a unit of the National Park Service. Today we're coming from our visitor center here in Valentine, Nebraska. Behind me is a lovely picture of the river. I wish you could get out there and see it. Especially this time of year when there's snow on the river, it's amazing. In front of me I have our lovely crafting table and we're going to be going over a nature creations today. This month's nature creation was it's kind of inspired by the wintry weather we're having right now in January, and we're going to be going over mammoths. We're actually going to be making our own milk carton mammoth this week. Nature Creations is a free virtual event that we kicked off in December. If you would like to see that craft or those videos, please check out our website. There will be a link in the post for you. Our goal is to explore the unique values of the Niobrara River Valley through kids' activities with emphasis on STEM. These programs are geared for children of all ages, including the child in all of us. All of the activities are going to be using household items that you will have on hand, so there's no need to make an extra shopping trip unless you just want to make a larger herd of mammoths. Nebraska is kind of known for its mammal fossils. Everybody thinks about dinosaurs and the large aquatic reptiles, but here in Nebraska it was mainly the mammals. So not only did we have the mammoths, we actually had rhinoceroses, we had camels, we had zebras, we had tigers and lions. We also had other elephants, including the amblyodon and other four-tuskered elephants that would be an ancestor to these guys. Mammoths appeared during the Pleistocene epoch. The Pleistocene epoch began about 2.6 million years ago and ended about 11,700 years ago. Now, during this time, it wasn't a continuous ice age, so there wasn't ice all over the place the entire time, especially in North America. During this time frame, you'd have about 20 cycles of retreating and advancing glaciers. So we're talking about two types of mammoths here in Nebraska. We have the woolly mammoth and the Columbian mammoth. Now, both of them had fur. Some were just a little bit more woolly than the others. But usually they had this undercoat of fur that would keep them warm and kind of shed water for them. Then they have a longer, more hairier version on the outside. And that would be anywhere up to 20 inches long, and it was coarse, and it was great for kind of blocking the wind. Under all that fur, they actually have a layer of fat that's up to 3 inches thick under their extremely thick skin. So they were made for cold weather. They were made to be out in the elements. They were made to be in the ice age. We're here in the Niobrara River, kind of in the middle of the state, but mammals have been found on both sides of the state, which is pretty cool. There's Archie at Memorial Hall at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and then there's the Titans, which are on the western part of the state. Now the Titans are pretty cool. There's actually a display at the Fort Robinson State Park at the Trailside Museum, and it's actually two Columbian mammoths that were locked in combat, and their actual tusks were kind of twisted together, and that's how they actually died. It's kind of a cool find. So we are going to be making a milk carton mammoth today. You will need an empty milk carton. Make sure you've rinsed out the milk. The more milk carton jugs you have, the bigger your herd of mammoths can be. You're going to need a glue stick, white paper or cardstock, markers or paint, or even yarn if you're going to be really creative and you want to make a woolly mammoth, scissors or an X-Acto knife or both. It makes it a little bit easier about cutting open the milk carton jugs. You're also going to need some googly eyes, or be really creative with drawing eyes yourself. So taking your milk carton, you're going to carefully cut it into half, and you're going to use the handle as the guide. You're going to want to cut the sides out to make the legs, and you're going to want to split the back. That way you have a little bit more leg and you can move it around a little bit more. In order to make this a little bit easier, you can always draw the lines on first and then cut as you go. And make sure you mark out where you're going to have your tusk slots, and then how you're going to do your trunk. When cutting your trunk, make sure you cut it a few centimeters or about 1/2 inch above the bottom of the base. That way your trunk will be a little bit higher up and will look more like a actual trunk matching the mammoth. Ask a parent to help you when cutting out your mammoth, especially if you're using an X-Acto knife. If you cut out a V, you're going to make your tail. Now, mammoth tails woolly mammoth tails weren't that long in comparison to the Columbian mammoth ones. So you're going to have a little bit of creativity going on there. Now, for your tusk, you're going to take these white paper strips, cut them out, curl them if you want to, or you can leave them as straight. You can do however you'd like. And then here next to our trunk, we have our little splits we cut in. I'm going to try to get them in here. I might need to cut my slits a little bit bigger. It's a little trial and error. And then once you get them in there, you're good to go. And you'll do that with both of them. And you can put the googly eyes on there if you'd like, or you can draw them on there. I figure I can draw them on. Ta-da! You can also take your markers and you can color them. Most woolly mammoths had kind of a brown color fur. You can use black, you can use brown. You can even make this neon yellow if you wanted to. This is your mammoth to create however you would like. So the mammoths managed to survive and thrive in a variety of habitats across the continent. But at the end of the Ice Age, the climate began to warm up. And as it warmed up and dried out, it caused a loss of habitat for these giant beasts. Whenever you lose your habitat, you can't really survive and thrive like you normally would. At the same time that this was going on, humans arrived in North America. And humans were hunting mammoths and other large animals for food. In fact, there's some really cool bone beds throughout the state, and you can learn more about that with the link in the post. It was a combination of these events between the hunting and the loss of habitat that led to their eventual decline in population and eventual extinction. When you finish your creation, snap a photo of it and post it. And please use our hashtags NatureCreations and Niobrara NSR. Keep your eyes peeled for our next Nature Creations coming in February. Thank you and have a wonderful day.